So you get that on the seats of the Ferrari, that's going to be a valet. It's going to be very expensive. Don't be wanting that sort of thing.
Nuggets are easier to eat, aren't they?
Exactly.
Like finger food.
Yeah, no sauce.
Yeah. Oh, how do you have nuggets for no sauce?
Well, Charles Leclerc did. I checked that one out yesterday because it was the one thing people wanted to know when I disappeared after the press conference.
I bet he didn't have to pay for it. He's a Ferrari driver after the Grand Prix in Imola, stopping in a Ferrari in Italy. He probably didn't have to pay for that.
Would you, if you run a drive-through fast food outlet, let Charles Leclerc off without paying? Answers to @Karun Chandok on Instagram or X. Here's Max Verstappen, crosses the line, goes second fastest, nearly half a second, off Lando Norris on the hard compound tyre. But it's not really a hard compound tyre at all.
It's harder.
It's quite a soft, hard compound tyre. Alex Albon. We should talk about Williams, A, because you're here, JB, and B, what a season it is turning into for Williams. Alex Albon has scored more points this season, 40, than he has in both of his previous 2 seasons combined, 39. And just everything seems to be coming together to produce a really handy car on qualifying and a race day.
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago, the Williams was very good in qualifying, wasn't it? Well, I say very good. It was better in qualifying than the race. Now they have that race pace. You know, we have a race like Imola where it didn't go their way, and they still come away with a 5th place.
And James Vowles, team principal, still not happy with that. Good afternoon, James Vowles. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It still feels good. Just I know there's more in it.
How much more is in there, and why is there more in there this year? What have you done to this car?
It's never one thing. It's hundreds and hundreds of small details that are just starting to come together. But it's fundamentally just a more balanced package, an aero package that's more forgiving, producing load in the right places.
Hi, James. It's Jensen.
Hi, Jensen.
So, yeah, been a fantastic year and a great to see the progress from 2024. But have you had any moments in time to actually relax and enjoy it, or is it just the pressure just keeps building because, you know, a P5 is the norm now?
No, the answer is, I mean, what I love about our sport is it doesn't really give you any breaks until August and until December. But I enjoy that bit of it. I enjoy being pushed forward every single day of the year. No breaks yet, no comfort yet. And as you know, that doesn't really stop until even when you're winning, you want to win more. So it doesn't really ever stop.
James, can we just talk a little bit about Alex so far this year? Crofty was just saying, you know, he's scored a tremendous haul of points already so far this season. I thought his drive in Imola was superb. It was a complicated race, strategically, a lot going on. But he was always there. It felt like the car was competitive, but Alex, I felt, in particular, was driving really well in Imola. Did you see that from the inside? Has he raised his game with Carlos coming in as an established race winner alongside?
Yeah, I'd agree with you, but I wouldn't say it was just Imola. I think I saw that step already from Melbourne race 1, where he hasn't put a foot wrong in any of his races. He's really been focused on delivering everything that he can and the car can. And it started with his training in the winter, all the way through to his approach for a Bahrain test, all the way through into the first races. And you're right, in Imola, I was wishing him on to make a move on the Ferrari, and it didn't pan out, and I'm okay with it, because he's actually showing the world that he's got that side to him where he will take a gap if it appears.
Ted Kravitz, come in.
Thank you, Crofty. Yes, James, it's Ted down here in the pit lane, just opposite your garage. Been looking at the new bits, a couple of upgrades you've got on the front corner and front suspension. That is new for 2024, for 2025. But I note that, like Ferrari, you're using a couple of bits from 2024, the rear wing and the beam wing. Just explain the thinking behind that in terms of cost cap and everything, because we were discussing it earlier in the program.
Yeah, what we've done this year is we've invested in a new low downforce wing, which is the wing we were running in Saudi, for example, and Miami as well, for that matter, and a new medium downforce wing, which is the wing we were running in Imola. But this high downforce wing only has a few applications really in 2025. So one of them is here in Monaco, one in Budapest. Even Barcelona wouldn't be this wing. And so what we've done, Singapore would be, we've effectively put our investment elsewhere into the car and into our future. So it's not that we didn't have ideas. I'm confident we can make a rear wing that's faster than what we have here. but it's about focusing on the other 21 events rather than just 3 or 4 of them.
You've done well, though, James, to have a rear wing from last year that's still usable. I'm impressed with that.
Oh, that hurts. It's truthful, but it hurts.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist it, my friend. We'll talk later. Have a great session. Thanks ever so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
I mean, I didn't want to just pour misery on that one, but I just couldn't help myself. Sorry about that. Lando Norris has gone quickest. Lewis Hamilton second fastest, then Charles Leclerc about half a second back from Lando Norris. But it is a good point, given the crash damage Williams had last year. The fact that they've got that is impressive, but also just shows you in this cost cap era, as you were saying, JB, you've got to utilise what's already there.
Yeah, the only thing is, you would say, is they probably do have very limited stock of last year's wing. I doubt they've gone in and built or made new versions of last year's wing. But no, it's the right thing that James and the team are doing, and it's going to be interesting to see how it actually performs here, the rear wing.
We'll talk about strategy with James in FP2. Join us for that one, because I think we need to get a session out of the way, see how the tyres are behaving, and then we can ask some educated questions on that one for a strategy that we have no clue about for this weekend, and I'm sure the teams don't at this moment, and that's brilliant.
It is great, because, you know, some of the strategists I spoke to yesterday is George Russell very close on the exit of Saint-Devote. Here we'll get a rear shot of it.
Super
4
close.
centimetres.
A lot of understeer in the car there, wasn't there?
Yeah, it carried a lot of speed, but the front didn't rotate for him. That'll come as the weekend unfolds, hopefully, and the track rubbers up.
That looks like less than 4 centimetres to me.
I'll make no comment. 2. I mean, he's done 13 laps on those tyres.
Watch this, Crofty.
Oh.
This is a bit of confusion of the chicane.
Yeah, these
Are you
guys,
still there?
What are they doing? It's got to wake up with Monaco.
Just to let you know, by the way,
Baby.
race directors' event notes say if you leave the track into that chicane and gain an advantage, i.e. you overtake a car by out-braking yourself, you are obliged to give that place back by the time you get to Tabac.
Which is fair.
I think is very fair.
Yeah.
If there's a reason we haven't done it, tough. If you come into the pits, you're still ahead. Tough, as far as the FIA are concerned. The stewards will take a look at that one. But that's the ruling for this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. You shouldn't be allowed to hold people up through tobacco and swimming pool and all that. So
Correct.
That's a lovely, clear start to the lap for Charles.
Yeah, he has got some free air. Isaac Hadger just going around Rascasse as Charles Leclerc makes his way through the entry to the swimming pool.
you know, yesterday on the Skypad, I looked back at his pole position lap from last year.
Yeah.
It was just extraordinary, wasn't it? He was a tenth and a half up on anybody else in Q3. And in the real world, 10th and a half is nothing. Around Monte Carlo in Q3, a 10th and a half is an eternity, because the rest of the pack were all within hundreds, and he was just on a different level. And I mean, these home fans, they were delighted last year, weren't they?
They certainly were.
Delighted.
Let's see if that happens again this year. He's pushing hard. Ted, down at Aston Martin, they're pulling hard at the rear of Lance Stroll's car.
They are, but just to mark your card, that's session over for Lance Stroll. So there's too much to change. Not only team radio.
I smell brakes in here really bad.
Okay.
Liam Lawson, and they've noted a possible impeding incident between Gabriel Bortoleto and Max Verstappen, who were having a very amusing exchange about sim racing yesterday as to how Max could set a time on the sim in Monaco, and he said it would take Gabriel Bortoleto 100 laps to try and better it. Gabby said, well, you know, maybe not 100, 50, but yeah, good point. And they had a bit of a chuckle. But there's no chuckles at Aston Martin. Ted, no. Was there that much damage? I saw some of the mechanics really struggling to get that back end off.
Yeah, because the gearbox needs changing, and as well as the diffuser, the floor, and the rear suspension as well.
And that was impeding, JB, but that was Monaco.
It was. I mean, he would have lost a lot of downforce on the way in, but it's also visually, it's always tricky when there's a car in front to pick your line.
As a driver, do you just, when it comes to qualifying here, do you just go into the session knowing that there are 2 or 3 laps potentially that you're going to get impeded, or do you still get really frustrated as and when it happens?
Still massively get frustrated, and if it's 3 laps in a row, you start worrying, because you've got to get that lap in qualifying, especially in Q1. I don't remember it being this bad, though. I think because they're going much slower when they do a fast lap to cool the tyres. You know, the cars are a lot heavier now and the way the tyre works is very different. So I think that it's got worse than it was when I was racing.
Here comes Kimi Antonelli. Talk us through this lap, Karun Chandok.
The car bottoming out a little bit there. Sparks as we turn into turn one. Rookie, of course, Kimi Antonelli. This is a circuit he would not have had the opportunity to test in real life. As we come around Massenet, slightly tighter line on the first part that we've seen from a lot of other people. Drop downhill, past the bump, and then you turn right into Mirabeau. Front right, always off the ground. It's easy to focus on all the fast parts of the track, but there's so much lap time to be won and lost. Actually, through these slow corners, we are spending a lot of time in the corners in first, second, third gear. Through the tunnel, and then under braking for the chicane. Really important to get the brake balance right. You go over a crest, the rear of the car gets light as you go over that crest. Bit bumpy as well, despite a bit of resurfacing in recent years. Second intermediate comes up after to back. You get over the curbs, you then fully commit to the curb on the left, and then we'll see second part of swimming pool again, not really hitting the yellow sausage curb that we're seeing some other drivers doing. So Antonelli doing the right thing as a rookie, Crofty, I think, and dialing himself in. You know, he's always exciting to watch. He's got a lot of flair, hasn't he? But this is a builder-upper, this circuit. You don't just go out there, especially as a rookie, or even if you're the last year's winner, Charles Leclerc, and hammer it on lap one. You've got to build the confidence. You got to feel the car over the weekend and just get comfortable with it moving it around.
I concur.
6 rookies this year in this Formula One race.
We are nowhere. Car is right corner, super understeer. Left corner, super oversteer.
Is that like a weird setup issue or something?
Or from the incident,
Or a problem, yeah.
possibly.
It's very odd to have a split left to right.
Yes.
Or is it to do with the mechanical grip as well? He's done 11 laps on these tyres so far. It's the C6.
Yeah, but
is he starting to lose the mechanical grip?
Yeah, but the tyres don't know whether you're going left or right, so
No.
they should do the same
But
both ways. So my point, ooh,
Williams.
Carlos Sainz into the chapel area down at Sandoval.
Good reversing skills.
it's gone for a morning blessing.
Yeah. That's another thing that you don't normally do as a racing driver in an F1 car is use reverse. So they will actually test that, but you've got to be so careful because it's very easy to damage the gear.
I was going to say 6 rookies in this race, all of whom have driven here in F2 in the support categories. But an F1 car is a completely different thing. So if you're one of the more experienced drivers, say like Carlos Sainz, does that kind of prey on your mind a little bit? There's a lot of inexperienced drivers out there as he locks up and does the experience thing of not taking too much out of the tyres. That's quite a big lockup, isn't it?
Big lockup, yeah. No, you're not really thinking about what other people are doing out there. You're just trying to find your feet yourself and build up to it around here. You know that when qualifying comes, that it's a different track to right now. There's so much more grip. You can push that car harder. You've got to take more risks. And that's where the lap time is.
But I think things like we saw with Gasly earlier, with Behrman, and I think it was Hadjar, wasn't it? That stuff around the traffic is perhaps where the rookies still need to really get into the groove here a bit more, right? Of, okay, this is the right place to move out of the way. This is the gap, the closing speed. Those are the things that they really have to learn. I mean, they're all very, very talented drivers. They can all drive around and do a quick lap. But I think in terms of what the other people are thinking about, Crofty, maybe it's that sort of stuff.
That was a big lap by Charles, wasn't it?
It certainly was. A 1:11.9 for a car that's nowhere, and he's on 3/10 faster than Lando Norris. By the way, stewards have decided that impeding incident. Gabriel Bortoleto holding up Max Verstappen. No further investigation needed on that. There is the Charles Leclerc-Lance Stroll incident to be investigated after the session. And only 14th fastest for Kimi Antonelli, so bit by bit he's building up, but only moving up a couple of spots as Lewis Hamilton crosses the line and goes 3rd fastest.
You know who's once again being consistently impressive as a rookie is Isaac Hadjar, top rookie in this session.
And he's on a hard.
Yeah, and we've been seeing it since Melbourne, haven't we? He's been really, really impressive as a rookie coming in.
Funny you should say that about Isaac Hadjar. So he's 9th in Imola, 3rd points finish in the last 6 Grand Prix. After not making the official start in Australia, he's been very, very steady indeed. And 4 times in 7 races this year, he's been Red Bull's top driver behind Max Verstappen.
Wow.
So you take the 4 Red Bull drivers in this, he's been number 2 to Max. So there goes Lando Norris into the chapel area. Car bottoming out a bit, I wonder, just like Carlos Sainz was.
Have you heard the Isaac Hadjar radio from here in F2?
No.
It's brilliant.
I've seen the moment in the tunnel where he has the reflexes of a cat on steroids, quite frankly, to avoid a crash.
It's amazing, but then he has an extraordinary rant after the session in, I think it was qualifying last year. Have a look online later on, if anyone hasn't. It's very amusing.
It's a touch Mr. Angry, which he is not now. He's kind of got rid of that bit. Charles Leclerc.
Matured.
In a Ferrari, going very close to the wall on the outside of Rascasse. And meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton, how close does he get to the wall at Saint-Devote? Oh, that's not close at all. Not 4 centimetres, is it, Jamie?
No.
Ted Kravitz, down to you.
A couple of things from down here. That was the McLaren. Both McLarens were out on the new mediums, Crofty, when one of them went off. You saw there earlier. I don't know whether he locked his brakes or whether they can carry on. They want to do a bit of a longer run on the mediums. Down at Mercedes, George Russell is just doing a front wing change. I don't believe there was damage, but they are just putting a new front wing on, so maybe there's a different spec there. And Franco Colapinto down here at Alpine making some changes. He's the slowest driver out there, excluding Lance Stroll, who's out of the session. So Colapinto, Crofty, still trying to hit those 3 bells set to him by Flavio Briatore, which was drive fast, don't crash, and score points. But yeah, well and truly playing his way in gradually. Talking about Flavio, did you see his road car rant? No. Karun, did you see that? He's taken delivery of a car, best not team radio.
Yeah, unboxing. It's quite a big hit with the rail.
Hadjar's just hit the barriers there, and that threw him offline, but not into the wall on the outside of the swimming pool exit. Ted, to you.
Yeah, I won't say what car he's bought, but you can check Flavio's Instagram, and it seems like it's got so many things wrong with it. Flavio's taken to social media to complain about it.
Who would do that, eh? Who complain on social media?
I thought Flavio's rich enough, he could just buy the company in question and then fix it himself. But yeah, he's so minded to have a bit of a complain about it. It's quite amusing on social media if you want to have a... Go and look at Flavio's Instagram, it's worth it,
We will do that, thank you. Some parish notices, by the way. New MGU-K for Franco Colapinto, new MGU-H for Max Verstappen, new turbocharger for Max Verstappen, all within their allocation for the season, no penalties as a result.
Oscar Piastri's just popped up into 3rd, so he's now just half a tenth behind, 500ths behind Lando Norris, but Charles Leclerc still at the top of the times. Piastri on a set of mediums. When he's done that time, Norris on a set of mediums now, but not as quick as he was before.
Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso pushing hard as he makes his way past our commentary boxes and towards Rascasse. This the 250th Grand Prix to take place since Fernando Alonso's last win in Spain in 2013. He crosses the line and he goes 7th fastest in his Aston Martin. Ahead of him, Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Oscar Piastri, fastest lap on the mediums, Lando Norris, and so far so good for Charles Leclerc. Now look at that concentration on the face of Adrian Newey there, getting an unexpected glimpse under the bonnet, as it were, of Lance Stroll's Aston Martin while the mechanics fix it.
Yeah, other teams be aware.
Like you can see you can hear the cogs of his brain turning.
He did an interview, didn't he, that Aston Martin put out, where he said that I felt that the 2026 regulations were a bit restrictive, but then the harder you look at them, the more things you find.
Ooh. But
yeah,
he said the same about 2022, didn't he? He absolutely. I remember through 21, he kept slamming the 22 restrictions as being regulations as being too restrictive, and there's not enough room for creativity. And then all of a sudden Red Bull are flying and he's going, oh, actually, we can make a car that looks completely different to everyone else.
He had a little bit more time, though, didn't he?
You mean in the run-up to the legs?
Yes. Yeah, this is a bit more limited, isn't it?
Right, there's a yellow flag out on the track at the moment as Charles Leclerc crosses the line, still fastest of all. And I'm trying to work out who might have stopped. Alex Albon going very slowly through Beau Rivage and onto Massenet. I wonder if he's had a little brush with the barriers.
Green.
It's gone green now on the outside of Sander Vos. Whatever it was, I can't see any damaged parts on the track.
Yeah, I think Liam Lawson was going slowly for a little while as well, but yeah, I don't know.
Don't know, don't care.
That
was the tone of your voice there, wasn't it?
If they're carrying on, then yeah, I mean, they're fine, clearly, aren't they? Yeah, it's interesting what Ted was saying there about Colapinto, isn't it? Because on initial reflection of Imola, it wasn't like there was a step up from what Jack Doohan was doing. I mean, Jack, in some ways, it's really harsh on Jack, isn't it? Because he had flashes of speed. I know he had some shunts, but he was a bit unlucky sometimes with timing and yellow flags and stuff. And there were occasions where he matched Pierre Gasly for pace. So it did. Taking commercial considerations aside, it feels harsh on Jack Doohan.
I don't see anything other than commercial considerations in that driver decision.
I totally agree. I mean, Colapinto was extremely quick when he jumped in the Williams last year. And immediately pulled out some strong results. So I understand if you've got him as a test driver that he's there and he's willing and ready to jump in. But yeah, it's very harsh after a few races. I mean, there should be a ruling that you cannot change your driver during a season. I think it's like you've got a contract, it's got to run a season. Unless
they're injured and can't race or whatever. And just to add to this, average starting position for Jack Doohan this season, 15.5. Average starting position in 9 starts for Williams for Colapinto, 16th. So it is...
Wow.
These guys were going slow there.
That was very calm by Lewis.
I mean, the speed difference is so quick, I didn't even know who that was.
Cars everywhere you look here in Monaco. This is Lewis Hamilton up Beau Rivage towards Massenet. Nice clear track ahead of him. Oh, not for long.
These guys were going slow there.
Now that looks like an Alpine. As he flashed past. So Pierre Gasly or Franco Colapinto, I'm not sure who.
I would have been way more angry than that. It's one of the highest speeds on the track. And you come up on a car, and you saw the car in front was turning in as well. And then saw Lewis coming and turned out.
It is literally one of the worst places, maybe the worst place you could try and get out of the way of somebody there.
160 miles an hour?
Honestly, that's unacceptable to me. To be dawdling close to the racing line like that, in that spot, that is unacceptable to me.
To be fair, he had a car in front of him also.
For your info, front left is gone. I think there's something wrong with the car.
Copy.
And that's consistent from Charles Leclerc, who's talked about understeer, oversteer on different corners.
Front left's the impact corner as well, isn't it? It's the one that hit the Aston.
He's also 3/10 quicker than anyone out there, so leave it.
Whatever's wrong, it's fast. That'll do nicely. Thank you very much.
Got to find an Aston to crash into it in every session.
Oh, that was nice through Sander Vos from Max Verstappen. Let's see this push lap from him. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him, though. Bortoletto is the first car that'll come across.
Oh, bit of a wobble there.
Yeah, they keep out of the way. Piastri and Bortoletto. He's about 3/10 down. But this is a Friday. Don't expect Max to be quick on a Friday.
Oh, throwing the steering lock on there.
The front's not... I feel like there's a lot of three-wheeling going on. Remember they had that issue at Singapore?
Oh. There's a snap. He was aggressive with the front there on turning again, but it gripped and he lost the rear.
But all through the right to Casino, Mirabeau, hairpin, everywhere, it looks like it's just sort of, quite stiff and the one wheel off the ground. Which, Crawford, remember that season they dominated everything, and then they had that three-wheeling issue in Singapore.
Yes.
I don't remember which year it was. It looks a bit like that.
The 19 out of 20 as Lando Norris goes on. What was that, 23 Carlos Sainz won in Singapore?
That was it, wasn't it? 23.
The one race that Red Bull didn't win that year.
Yeah. Wow, it looks sensational, Monaco, doesn't it? Amazing.
I mean, even JB, as you were saying, for someone who's lived here for a long, long time, it's a place. It really is a place to have a motor race. As Lewis Hamilton outbreaks himself in the chicane, and I know, big lock up there. I know we don't get much overtaking. It's not a race if you want to see lots and lots of overtaking, but it's a championship where each race should be a little bit different, and this is way different to the rest of them.
I have to say, Fridays also one of the most Fridays you'll ever have. You know, when watching Formula One cars, because it's where they're trying to find the limit.
Yeah.
And there's no runoff, so you know you can't take the risk you can on other tracks. But you know you see them pushing the boundaries, and they're being super brave.
And the tension and importance of qualifying, and Q3 in particular, is amazing. I love it. Like, we get goosebumps in the commentary box in Q3 because you have no idea who's going to end up on top.
I get a bit downhearted by seeing lots of articles in the build-up to this race that say, has Formula One outgrown Monaco? Well, maybe, but that's not the point. Look at the grandstands, look at the harbour, look at the action on the track. Yes, you're not going to get a lot of overtaking, but it is still a very, very popular race, and Formula One, for me, would be a lot poorer without Monaco on the calendar, because you need this challenge.
It's a weekend exactly for that word. It's for the driver's challenge. It's really, it is an important part. One thing though, and Jensen, I'd love to get your take on it. You know, as a former resident, this place has changed a lot. We've seen land reclaimed everywhere. That's the one thing I wonder is, going forward, the size of the cars are gone and the way it's gone, is there an opportunity? And you know me, I'm a purist of the purest F1 fans. I wouldn't be opposed to a loop being added with a slightly wider part of the track to create an overtaking opportunity. I wouldn't be against it.
I'm with you.
But it's been the same forever.
I know.
And I mean, you could just say, well, why? Maybe you should change it for overtaking. But I love that it's been pretty much the same layout. I think the 2 pit stop rule is going to help. It's going to help the racing, going to help strategies. But yeah, we've always known that Monaco is about Saturday. It's about these guys pushing the boundaries with the best cars in the world, low fuel, new tires, scraping the barriers in every corner, and that's what we love about it. And it's a very special day. Sunday, still good racing, but yeah, never going to be that exciting.
Oscar Piastri down to the chicane. This is one bit they might be able to reprofile. Did he hit the barrier there? He was very, very close to it.
He just went in too hot.
If you just move that barrier back a little bit, you know, the one that Sergio Perez hit that year in qualifying, if that moved back a bit, could you create a reprofiled chicane that gave you a better chance of overtaking into there?
Like the bus stop at Spa used to be, you know, the old one that went left and right. Maybe then to create some sort of overtaking, because remember that you could get 2x2. Remember Montoya Schumacher, they went you could go 2x2 through there. Yeah, maybe a more subtle change than that.
Well, next year the cars will be a little bit smaller. It's not massive, but they are going to be a little bit smaller, and with the regulation changes to the power units, there'll be more to play with for overtaking. You know, we had the what was it called? Not the DRS. What was the lever that we had?
F-duct.
Yeah, no, not the F-duct. For
you had ERS.
ERS, sorry. Yeah, that was awesome because you could play with that to your advantage, and there was more overtaking because of it, I think.
Well, Christian Horner's asking for a push to pass, isn't he, for next year, and trying to talk to the teams about that one. And as we're going to lose DRS, do we need that push to pass facility and that extra charge to come in as Russell goes fourth fastest?
Yeah, well, I mean, it works in IndyCar. You know, we got the obviously the Indy 500 coming up this weekend, which for everyone on Sky Sports is a super Sunday of motorsport.
That's a brilliant Sunday. Where are we watching it? Have you managed to get a feed so we can watch it on the way to the airport?
I was going to say normally it's at the airport while we're trying to make sure that the plane waits for the finish, because we've had so many instances where we get on board and start taxiing with 10 laps to go and then don't know who wins.
It's very frustrating.
Oh, he hit the wall hard.
Oh,
wow. Mate, traffic. At the bottom,
wow.
I've just gone completely overcurved, mate.
I've not seen a move like that in a red car since the Dukes of Hazzard, quite frankly.
That was big. That's a big impact. First on the turn-in, and then obviously the sausage curb.
Big impact on the driver when it comes down to land as well.
You would have felt that.
Yeah.
Talking about qualifying and how Monaco is so special, did you guys see the Indy 500 qualifying? That was because they've got the hybrid system now.
Yeah.
They're able to go just as quick on lap 4, but they have less tire grip on lap 4, so they are wild.
Isn't it amazing where you sit there watching one car going round and round an oval track, and you're just absorbed?
It's mega.
I couldn't turn away from it for the entire, whatever, 2 hours it went on for.
But I still watch it through my fingers as well, because it just scares me how easy it is to end up in the wall, and it's always a big shunt at 230 miles an hour.
I missed Monaco last year and took my dad out there to Indy for the first time, and stood at the fence on the outside of turn 1. It is just utterly terrifying as they're coming flying at you and turn in 200. I think it's 239 when they turn into that corner.
I mean, it's very special, but I wouldn't miss Monaco for it. Karun.
Yeah, because you haven't been. You haven't been. Once you will. Now I'm like, oh God. How am I going to find a way to go back?
I was actually asked to race in it last year.
And you turned it
Sorry,
down?
this year I was asked to race in it.
You turned it down?
I turned it down. I'm 45 years old. I've had such a career I'm happy with that I don't want to go and do that now.
Hang on. Your former teammate, Takuma Sato, is 48 years old.
Yep.
Where's he qualified? Front row.
And I tell you what, the cheers when Taku won the Indy 500 in the lounge, because the plane had been delayed. Honestly, every single person in that lounge, like, yes, go Taku, because he's a top guy. You don't have to make a choice this weekend.
Yes.
Monaco Grand Prix, Indy 500. We've got it both on Sky Sports F1, and the build-up as well to the IndyCar is available too. I think that's on our YouTube channel because we'll still be talking about the race here. And of course, you wouldn't want to miss Ted's Notebook, which follows all the action on Saturday and Sunday. Ted.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Make sure you watch the Indy 500. Right, quick one on Kimi Antonelli. Crofty, in the last couple of minutes, he's moved up to 11th quickest, but really is playing his way in a little bit gently. And the interesting thing for me, in terms of yesterday, Kimi Antonelli saying that what he did, his preparation for his home race in Imola last time round, was the wrong way to go. And he's been quite open, admitted that I know what I did wrong in terms of preparation, and I will change for my next home race in Monza. So I don't know if you're watching what Jacques Villeneuve, Crofty, was saying about, Kimi and being very open and inviting all the classmates to the circuit. And Jacques felt that was the wrong way to go. I don't know whether it's that specifically, but Kimi admitted yesterday that indeed his preparation wasn't right. And when he stepped into the car for the first time in Imola, he felt he wasn't the best prepared that he could have been.
Do you know what, though,
more
Ted?
learning going on.
It's a rookie season for a reason, and you learn from that rookie season, and that when he finally hangs his gloves up, retires, which I hope will be in many, many, many years to come, Kimi will look back at his first race in Italy as a Formula One driver and go, wasn't it great to have all my mates there and all my classmates there? That was a really special moment.
Yeah, and I think the team need to help them with that as well, right? They're the ones with the experience of how to manage the drivers' times and drivers' energies over the weekend. The constant debate around what's right for the partners and sponsors and sort of media commitments and what's right for the driver.
Yeah, totally. But I can't imagine he was missing meetings or spent less time with the team. Because we saw him in a photo with them, it doesn't mean he was hanging out with them all weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's always a tricky one. It's what it does to a driver mentally, having everyone there. Maybe he's thinking about other things, not focusing so much. But I think his time with the team was no different.
Well, tell me about your experience at the British Grand Prix, for example. Did you have?
I had my mates.
Bigger demands on your time that you felt it was too much at any point or not?
Yes, but it wasn't having my friends there that was the issue. It was I was very busy with sponsors and what have you. But I remember my first Grand Prix, British Grand Prix, 2000. I had my mates there, finished 5th, and we were hanging out in the team motorhome, actually in Patrick Head's office, drinking something nice. And he came up while we were all in there having fun, being very loud, and he just shook his head and walked out. But good time. So you need to enjoy those special moments. with your friends and your loved ones.
Just on the screen, you'll see Oscar Piastri, 33 consecutive point-scoring race weekends. I think that's the third longest streak in F1 history. The other strength is the consistency, not just of point scoring. This man has completed every single lap of every single race in Grand Prix since Sao Paulo 2023. You know, he keeps the car on the track and he keeps going, and he's there at the finish to make the best of it, and he's currently the championship leader.
I'm trying to think of errors and mistakes and sort of broken wings or shunts he's had, even in practice or qualifying, and I'm struggling to think of any, if I'm honest. But I think particularly for me this year, his qualifying form has been superb. That was a weakness last year, wasn't it? You know, both Oscar and his race engineer Tom Stalla are very open at the end of last year, saying that's where he needs to improve if he wants to fight Lando for the championship. And he's done it. He's ahead of Lando this year.
But I think this is a real test for him this weekend. Is ramped up by his position in the championship and the fact that, you know, he's well, not just the leader, but when it comes to wins, he's got 4 of them more than anyone else, and when it comes to poles, it's him and Max Verstappen on 3. It's how he handles that. It's a different Monaco for Oscar Piastri this year. Talking of Max Verstappen, still second fastest to Charles Leclerc. Max has not been in the top 3 in an FP1 session this season. Piastri crosses the line 5th fastest, so he stays in that top 3. Is that, I don't know, an ominous sign after Red Bull's upgrade, of course, in Imola? That actually seemed to be a fairly decent upgrade, and whilst they've been asking questions of the McLaren, is that, have they done that as a team to try and deflect away from the progress they made themselves?
That guy.
Yep.
Yeah, copy that. Wasn't very nice.
That guy, Yuki Tsunoda, in the Haas. Was that Ocon? In the Haas, not sure. And Verstappen's dad, Jos Verstappen, still in conversation with Oliver Minslav, the CEO of Red Bull, right outside our commentary box, chatting away, leaning over and watching Max go past them as they've just done now.
How do you have a conversation with these cars going round?
Sorry?
Exactly. It is so we've got cans on and we're in a booth.
I could see Ted's about 10 feet away, so if he swings the microphone, he might be able to listen in.
Yeah.
Ted, just go and ask them what they're talking about.
You know, I mean, they're very close. They're very close, aren't they?
Well, they have to be. They wouldn't hear each other otherwise.
No, you can in gaps between the cars going round, and if you can be heard over these huge commentary speakers, Crofty, although it is quite atmospheric with your French colleague doing the commentary for Des Stands, des spectateurs. But yeah, they're having they're very closely aligned, the Red Bull boss and Jos Verstappen. Let's just put it that way.
They certainly are.
So, interestingly, we've got the McLarens on different tyres. Lando's on the medium. Oscar on the soft. I guess they're just doing a back-to-back to see where they are at this point in time with laps on them, because you say that it's surprising they've not been at the front, but they've also been running on the medium when everyone else is in the soft, and it should make a good difference in lap time.
And also, I feel like if you reflect on Oscar's weekends over the last 2-3 years, he builds up to qualifying. You know, he very often will be behind on a Friday, but I feel like that's his approach, is to just, when it counts, I'll be there.
Yeah, totally.
And you'll be there too, and where you'll be in about 5 minutes' time is the Sky Pad, so you need to leave.
I better go. It is, it's a bit of a walk.
It is. It's been a pleasure having you in the box. See you for FP2. Run, Karoon, run. Checker flag is out. George Russell can finish this lap.
You'd have to say with Oscar as well, he's not really had luck on his side when it's come to safety cars this year. Miami sprint, and also last weekend at Imola.
Yeah,
it's cost him some points. So, you know, he's not there on his side. It's definitely going to swing around and be in his favour at some point.
What goes around comes around, and needing to turn around, Gabriel Bortoletto at Saint Devots, just making sure that there's nothing coming. Liam Lawson is on his way. There he is in the Racing Bulls.
See the lovely print that it leaves on your tyres, those bricks there.
Yeah. And it leaves a bit of a rubber mark as well on those tiles. They used to have a service, didn't they, on a Sunday morning down at the Chapel Saint Devots ahead of the race, and the marshals used to kind of go along to the service. Not sure whether they do that or not now.
Oh, that would be lovely. I'd definitely go along if they did.
no lock-up, but just not making the corner, so an easy one to bail out of. Charles Leclerc with a 1:11.9. Fastest time last year was a 1:12.1, so from Lewis Hamilton, so a couple of tenths quicker than we were last year. And that backs up what Charles Leclerc's been saying all week long. We are not very good in the slow-speed corners. If they're quickest on the straights, have they turned their engine up a little bit more than others, you wonder?
Possibly, yes.
That was the busiest FP1 of my life.
Welcome to Formula One, Isaac Hadger, who, by the way, you might not have spotted it, is running an Ayrton Senna tribute helmet for this weekend. He says that when you think of Ayrton Senna, you think of Monaco, you know, the most successful driver here. And his helmet not only has got the Senna colours, but it's also got a load of Ayrton Senna stats on there as well, which I wholeheartedly agree with on that one. It's mega, and it's a really, really nice tribute from Isaac Hadger. There's your fastest man in FP1. Only 3 of the last 27 Grand Prix, by the way, and I'm not trying to put a dampener on it. Just, you know, keep your just keep your hopes in reality. Only 3 of the last 27 Grand Prix have been won by the driver who led FP1.
I mean, he's had a bit of a session, hasn't he, Charles? You know, with the incident at the start with Stroll, to putting the quickest lap down. I think that's a good comeback. It's something he probably needed after that little shunt.
And all in a car that he's not overly happy with. You know, on a track where a driver can, of course, make a difference. Should they feel the confidence? And if he hasn't got any confidence here, where's he ever going to have any confidence after last year and that magnificent victory for Charles? Really emotional day here in Monaco. 3-time pole sitter. Finally, it went right for him. It was also his first podium here, and let's face it, he's had a lot of bad luck over the years, but when it comes good, it comes good.
Exactly.
Second fastest, Max Verstappen. Third fastest, Lando Norris, championship leader. Fifth fastest, Alex Albon in that top 4.
Yeah.
For a Williams team who, by the way, haven't had a car start in the top 6 here since 2009. Nico Rosberg in 2009. Wow. Last time we saw a Williams start in the top 6. Kimi Antonelli, let's have a little look at him. 11th fastest overall. I tell you what, oh, that's a bang.
Touch the wall in 3.
Okay, copy.
Glad he didn't do that on the hot lap yesterday.
That car, that car looks like it's stiff, doesn't it? It looks like it's hitting the floor all the way up turn 1 to turn 2.
I wouldn't mind JB. I was giving him all the right lines through that turn as well.
I know, and he got it wrong even after your
and
expertise.
He was following it so nicely.
You're obviously going much quicker yesterday, so you know.
Oh, yeah, it felt rapid, I must admit. So the cars back into the pit lane, and that is the site of Monte Carlo on this Grand Prix Friday. There's barely a boat elsewhere in the Mediterranean. They're all bobbing up and down around here. Cruise liners outside and inside the harbour as well. And we're here for a motor race, and we've had 60 minutes of practice. And for Charles Leclerc, well, it was just one of those sessions where it didn't feel good, but maybe being fastest will make him feel better. He has got to go and see the stewards. He hit Lance Stroll, and the stewards are going to take a look at that after the session, maybe more from Lance Stroll's point of view. But Leclerc quickest from Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, Albon and Piastri